Hey, pull over. Pull over. Where'd Rich go?
I'm right
There he
here.
is.
Oh, there he is.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
I kind of crack up every time I see our little intro we're kind of playing around with and testing the waters with. It makes me think of Super Troopers, the movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, the guys are pulled over and they're going, pull over. And they go, we are pulled over. But anyway, f- folks, just to let you know, David Gonzalez isn't here right now. I don't know if he's having technical issues at his end or anything, but if he pops on the show during it, we'll bring him in and start talking. But for right now, we're just going to talk about some current issues from our perspective, and some of them may be a little shocking because well, at least I do. I just tell it like it is, you know. Minnesota, we had that kid, and I say kid, he was in his 20s or something, wasn't he? Rich?
Yeah. Yeah. Just young and
Yeah. Um, he went into a Catholic church or Catholic school slash church, um, and then started shooting. And he had a manifesto that we really don't know what's in yet. And he also had um, little things about killing the president and stuff written on his magazines and stuff. You know, a lot's been talked about that in the news on the mainstream media with guys coming on and talking about different things they can do to prevent it. Well, we're always talking about preventing it after it happens. And I think that if we did something now, and started and actually did it, because some schools in some states have armed security. A few shows back, we had a guest on. You'll have to look through the Rumble channel. I don't know exactly where it's at, but we had a guest on that came up with a solution for school shooters. And I think it was up in Wisconsin where he was doing it. So it's that same neck of the woods. And I think that how he explained it on the show, it was a while back. And it looks like something really, really good that can happen. But in the case of the Minnesota one, that was a private school, Catholic school, and I've talked about that with other people. That guy from the Mesa Fire Department that was on with Galloway, we had talked about that. I had gone to Catholic school. I don't know about you, Rich, but I went to Catholic school. I had the scars to prove it.
you told me you were an angel.
No,
No.
uh-uh.
Okay.
And it was funny, but anyway, back on this shooter thing. Like anything else, like anything else, there are indicators. I don't want to use the term red flag because I guess from what I understand, Minnesota is a red flag state. They enacted that law to help prevent things, which goes to show you it didn't prevent it, you know. But the thing is like with suicides, these kinds of acts of violence, there are indicators that come out before it's planned out and executed. And those things are, hey, like with suicide, giving away your stuff, doing this, and in a roundabout way, and you can chime in anytime, Rich, in a roundabout way, this is basically a suicide type mission because he actually killed himself in the end of it
Yeah.
when he did the mission, correct?
Well, they had some indicators, like you said, that he was a little off the center line, and they really acted upon much, and they just sort of put it by the wayside, which is a sad thing.
Yeah, and and I can't really fault law enforcement, but I also can to a certain degree because you have to pay attention to this stuff. You really do. Like, and we've talked about it here a ton of times. Missing people. Oh no, they're an adult. They'll come home. Then you find their car out in the middle of nowhere, nothing around. You got to take this stuff serious. Every little thing. And that's being in law enforcement's a serious thing. I remember at the sheriff's office doing those active shooter drills at a school in Queen Creek. We would practice it once a year. They would do a drill there. And it was pretty good training. What do you think, Rich? Your turn.
Well, yeah, I've participated in some of those within the office, those active shooter drills. But it's relative to life. Today, more people, more problems, have less law enforcement because so many wanted to defund the police. Now they're learning that wasn't really a great option. And then the generation in and of itself isn't applying for the blue collar jobs. They're applying for the white collar jobs. That brings down your applicants, your law enforcement, fire, even military. So it's rough to keep up, or any types of cases for these guys to do a lot. So,
right. Yeah, and and it's kind of funny. When I was a kid growing up about this, my dad said, "Kids today," and then when he was a kid, they said the same thing, "Kids today," and so on and so on. And now it's my turn.
it's
Kids today. But there's a little more truth to it on kids today.
Yep, there is.
Turn it on. Yeah, give it a second. Okay. We added a mic to my daughter who's sitting behind the camera working everything. She's a kid today, but she's a little bit different. She's actually got the degree in administration of public, what is it? Safety?
Administration of Justice Studies.
Oh yeah, administration of justice studies. See, and it goes all the way back to like Foghorn Leghorn. Remember that? And that little chicken with the big glasses, and he would draw all this crap out on a chalkboard on what he was going to do and all this, and Foghorn. Let me tell you, son. You remember that, and that's kind of the way things are going, because some agencies, they don't get out and do some investigations. They don't do this stuff. They rely on AI. And as technology is changing, that may have a place in it. But you still need to get out of your office, go canvass a neighborhood. And Blaine, if you're listening, that's going around knocking on everybody's door. Canvassing. Anyway, and you need to do that kind of thing because you never know what information you might get, and it's so, and this shooting is still fairly fresh, and the investigation's ongoing, and I'm sure they're talking to this guy's friends, family members. I guess the mom right now, she basically hired an attorney and told him, "No, I'm not talking to you." So, but the interesting thing, Rich, as we see on social media, is that there's been more of these types of incidents, and it's involving kids that were transgendered, or what do they call that term? I don't know the new modern term for gender reassignment. There we go. They decided to change. But, there's great minds out there like Jordan Peterson who talks about that stuff. It talks about it. And sure, at the moment, you might think that's a cool thing. I want a girl, or I want to go be a boy, and I'm already a girl. And, that's great. But what happens is it affects things. And then after you make that decision and then you regret it, that seems to be the case in some of these incidents. So,
Okay, give me a second. Let me check. Nope,
what's that?
I had to check. I just wanted to make sure I'm good. Oh, you missed a joke. Roz probably got it. And she's
What's
not
that?
even on
You had
video.
to check.
My
You
assignment.
what?
See where I was at.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what
God.
you're saying.
Oh, you're
That's
killing me.
and
You're
I'm
killing
even
me.
dating myself. I'm even dating myself with my military service. That was an F-14 that just went over my head,
Yes, it was.
right off the deck.
Yeah,
And I didn't even hear it because I got tinnitus.
No, it's a shame not getting too in depth, and I've got to watch some of the things that I say just because of some of the things I'm doing. But obviously there's a lot of mental wellness involved in this topic that we're dealing with on this individual at the shooting, and
Yeah,
there's identity crisis and so much time in society on other things, but we surely don't have enough at all dedicated to mental wellness, be it in the schools, be it out, in the streets available to people at the doctor's offices or whatever. We just don't have much dedicated to mental wellness. And again, it's relative to population. The more people, the more problems. And so many are undiagnosed, and they're out there. And
it's something that law enforcement deals with all the time, and we've seen it all across the country, where some of the old philosophies on responding to a active shooter is that you wait for the SWAT team, right? Remember those days?
That used to be.
Yeah, now they learn from shooting incidents at different locations around the country. They've learned that you're the first cop there, you're the first guy in that's going to save lives, and you're going to go stop the threat. And more needs to be done about that, but you cannot be everywhere at one time. You can't be everywhere. And that's where it came up to talking about hiring armed securities in these schools, like retired cops, veterans, to come in and protect them, look for things, install more cameras, more entrances that are narrowed down, so when they come in the school, there's only so many points they can come in, all these different things. And hell, just the other day down in Phoenix, and what was that, Carl Hayden High School?
Yeah.
A kid stabbed and killed another kid in the classroom. And you can put all these security measures in place, and there had to be. But for something like that to happen in a classroom, metal detector gonna stop at 100%. And now there's cries from certain segment of our political spectrum, guns, and because I think that
Yeah.
We need to be able to protect ourselves, and we also need to be able to protect our kids. And
Well, wasn't
somebody made a valid. What's that?
I was going to say, people have to think it wasn't necessarily that hurt the people. It was the individual that hurt the people. He just chose a specific tool. But yeah, and we all know you can't blame it on guns. Guns aren't the problem. It's the people that are the problem. And
Yeah,
all you're going to do is eliminate good people, like you're saying, that want to protect themselves. Harp on this for days and hours, months, and we all know the correct answer.
yeah.
But those that just want to vote the quick fix, think they can pass a law or want to pass a law, to ban, that's not the answer.
Well, we had another couple things a little further back, and why I say that is President Trump got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then again, I guess somebody tried to do it outside of his golf course in Florida.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear those same individuals calling for gun control.
Nope.
None of them. Not a single one of them.
Mhm.
Not one, which is, if they truly believed it, that it would work, then why didn't they call for it? Yeah. I think it's just, what's that?
I was going to say they don't want gun. It involves him.
Yeah, and it kind of says something about it, crime and all that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, another person pointed out, and we've probably heard this before. Banks, they protect money in a bank better than they do our kids. And our kids are our future. And we got to change that philosophy. And if you live in a state or a county or a city anywhere in the country, and they don't want security in the schools or any of that, I'd make my voices heard as a parent, because what those parents are going through in Minnesota, what those parents are going through at all the other places where this has happened. I get it. Nobody's doing anything. They all talk about it. And it's something that's a hot topic. So I'm checking to see. No David Gonzalez. So I'm hoping everything's okay with him and his wife. But it is Labor Day weekend, and maybe he forgot, and he's around the corner from me camping in the woods. I doubt it, but that's always a possibility, because I think the population of Phoenix goes down on holiday weekends because they all come up here, all of them. I mean, everyone. And it's a nightmare. But anyway, yeah, the shooting thing needs to be dealt with. It really does. And we can talk about it all day long, like you said, until we can get something and get everybody in the middle somewhere, And there are extremist guys on both sides. Oh yeah, we have a right to have a tank. I can have a tank. That's what the Second Amendment says. Well, no, not exactly. And then the other side of it is, no, you can't even have a slingshot. And so there's got to be somewhere in the middle that these people meet, and then they finally come up with something that's a viable solution.
First off, there's laws out there for the violation of almost everything we can think of. But the problem is a system They let things fall through the cracks. They don't prosecute. They give people 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chances. And they just don't deal with things right up front. If we dealt with things up front like other countries, I'm not saying we need to be as barbaric, but if we had punishment and there was definitive punishment and
Right.
no options, no pleading it down, we'd probably have less problems within this country.
Oh yeah. I remember, seeing, I was a little tiny kid there, but back in the 50s, and it was pointed out, the 1940s and 1950s, we didn't have issues like this. We really didn't. And if you looked at the changes in law enforcement and parenting, because back then, dad went to work, mom stayed home, mom took care of the kids. If the kids did something stupid, the neighbors and caught them doing something stupid, you get swatted, brought down to the house. Your mom would swat you, and then your dad, when he gets home, you're really catching it. That's gone away because we get these feel good organizations that come out. Well, they can't touch you. They can't do that. You have every right in the world. And I think that that's part of the downfall. You know what I'm saying? It's what we went from to how we got here, and then you throw in technology, cell phones, internet. Oh, I'm getting a call. Hang on. Start talking.
I'll hang on for just a minute. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully it's David calling us.
Live on the show.
Yeah.
I emailed you the link.
Let me get on, okay? And I apologize.
Oh no, it's fine. I understand because we were talking and me and Rich are talking right now, and when you hit that link, you'll pop up, sir.
All right, you know what? I don't know what happened on my calendar. I had it on tomorrow.
Well, we talked about this a little bit because
Issue was that.
well, yeah, it kind of leads to that though, because I mean, it is. Rich isn't quite as old as me or you, but
Let me get my laptop here.
okay. Well, while you're doing that, I got you on speakerphone.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk.
So, well, he's going to be coming on live here in a minute. So, wow, we were talking about school shootings, what happened in Minnesota,
Right.
and the change in society since the 1940s and 50s to today, both in law enforcement and parenting. And I think there's a lot that goes into it, and it's getting worse on the crime side. It really is, because back in the day, and we actually talked about this on the Tombstone show when we went to Tombstone, talked to Tombstone Marshall.
Uh-huh.
And then my old buddy, who's really named Wyatt Earp, he was there on the show, and we were talking about it. Said back in the day, if you went out and the town marshal went out and confronted an outlaw who had a gun, like he did, and what term did he use? Buffaloed. He'd hit him over the head with the butt of the gun and drag him off to jail to sober up and get released.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
You mentioned about, like when we grew up, I grew up in Flagstaff, and
Yeah.
I went to a Catholic parochial school.
Hurry up and get on and we can talk.
Okay, give me a minute here. Let me find it.
Okay.
Let me find the email.
Yeah.
Okay, and
There's a link.
yep. Let me.
I had to resend it to Rich. See what I mean about getting older?
Is it possible to resend it to me? It might be easier.
Oh, I can tell you stories.
Yeah. Give us a second.
No, in the meantime, let me.
Okay. Let's go to my sent folder. I got a younger person helping me. My daughter's helping. There's the link. Forward it. And then David Gonzalez. right there. You still use Cox for your internet?
Yeah, David.Gonzalez3@cox.net.
Yeah, we just sent it to you. Okay, hey Rich, he's getting ready to log on.
Okay.
This is gonna be kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
Yeah, especially, we just, that school shooter thing and all the crap that they're trying to dish out. And I don't know. I mean, cops are at wit's end trying to play both sides of the fence with dealing with crime and trying to be nice. If they just let cops not be so nice, the crime would probably go down.
Well, if they just allowed cops to be cops and do
Hey,
the job that they're
for
hired
you
to
folk, hey, Rich, turn your mic up a little bit at your end. You're a little low. I don't think
I'm a
we can
little
do it
low?
at ours. Yeah.
do. Yeah, let me jump into my little settings thing
Not got
here.
anything yet from him. Oh, here it is.
Oh.
I found it.
You found it. All right. See, it's an old guy thing. I'm telling you.
How do I sound?
I even-
Okay.
It's on something on there. I don't know. I can't see how you got it set up. So, isn't this crazy?
Yeah, and then we're trying to get someone on. I guess,
Hey,
David
can you turn
Gonzalez.
them up on any of them little knobby things on ours
I don't think so.
and on
David.
on Restream?
It says ready to join.
Okay,
I did.
just click on it. You'll pop in, and you get your camera and all that going.
Yeah,
Well, we've got audio.
We don't see your picture yet.
Okay.
heard it.
There he is.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
Great to see
Can you
you.
hear me? There you go. How you doing, Rich? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Curly may be having a little hiccup up there. He's up by way out.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So
I'm
he,
gonna. Let me move. I might have a Wi-Fi area on this side of the house. Okay.
no, we got you good.
Oh, you got me good.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh yeah, we got you good.
He's on the move.
There you go. What's that?
I love it. I said you're on the move.
There you go. Now I'm good.
Oh yeah, you're perfect.
Hey, thanks,
Perfect.
man. And like I said, it's a pleasure to have you on. And I was kind of glancing through your what
Bio.
is it? Your bio or your resume type of thing. Holy crap! It
Oh,
goes way back.
it goes back to when I was
Yeah.
19 years old. It started off as a sheriff's deputy in Coconino County. I was born and raised in Flagstaff, and
Yeah.
I was going to, you know how it is back then. I was 18. I was on my own. I was raised by my grandparents.
Turn up the.
Can you hear okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was going to NAU, and I needed a job. And there's always someone in your life that gave you a break, that got you going. And that guy for me was Joe Richards. He was a sheriff up there for like 30
Yep.
years. And Joe
Yep.
hired me as a sheriff's deputy at 19, and it was interesting. I used to go to bar fights outside in the county, and I couldn't even buy a beer there, and I could shoot somebody, kill somebody, and enforcing the law, but I couldn't buy a gun or bullets till I was 21. So
Love it.
and
Yeah.
when I turned 21, I always wanted to be a trooper. I wanted to be in the highway patrol, and applied, went to the academy, and was sent to Tucson. And I didn't care. I was young, single, so I started the graveyard shift. We called it then. I guess it's still called a graveyard, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
We all start out that way, graveyard.
yeah, and then I was going to U of A during the day, and did that for 2.5 years, and then transferred to narcotics, and just went through the ranks at DPS. I met my wife at the U of A. She was in law school at the time, and when she graduated from law school, she got a job with a law firm in Phoenix, and she said she came home one day and says, "Hey, can you transfer to Phoenix? I got this job." And so I said, "Yeah, so let's start packing." So came up to Phoenix in about '84 with DPS, and was fortunate enough to be promoted several times there. And then when George W. Bush was elected, I knew that the president appointed the U.S. Marshals for every district, and you're probably aware of this. There are 94 federal districts in the country, and the president appoints a U.S. attorney and a U.S. Marshal for every one of those districts. And our two senators at the time were John McCain and John Kyle. And a bunch of people applied to be the U.S. Marshal, and I was lucky enough to be my name going up and appointed by George W. Bush.
Yeah, and then
What year?
you got brought up.
I'm sorry?
You what year
What
was
year
Oh,
was
there
that?
you
that?
go. I'm sorry?
He said what year?
You were appointed.
And
Oh, I was appointed in 2001, and you have to go through Senate confirmation before the president signs off. And then
Correct.
9/11. I was going through the process fine, and then 9/11 happened, and they stopped all the processes for bringing on presidential appointees till the first of the year, and then I was officially sworn in and appointed and approved by Congress. The president signed off in April of 2002.
that's a pretty wild career.
I did. It was a wild
Nine-
career, and usually I was going to say when I served 8 years under Bush, and then when Obama came in, I thought, okay, I'm out of here. I get it.
Yeah.
But he reappointed me, so I served 8 years with Obama, and then Trump came in. I did 4 years with Trump, and then Biden came in, and reappointed by Biden. But at that time, I almost had 50 years in law enforcement, and I figured, that's enough.
Yeah.
So that was good enough, and I always felt I always wanted to leave on top in good graces than having to be swept out the front door. So I was very blessed to have a great law enforcement career.
Absolutely. And it's funny, when you were 19 and a deputy for Coconino County, I joined the military at 17 and a half, and then I turned 18 in boot camp. And it was the same. And it was the law back then was they changed the law that you could be 18 and drink. But then a
Yeah.
few years after that, they changed it back. And it was because of where I'm at. It was because of things I may have done while I was on active duty. They
Yeah.
changed it back to 21. But and it may be, 19 years old. That's a little young for being in law enforcement, but now it's like
And
Yeah, and
the kids, the kids joining now, they could be 30 years old
yeah.
and still not be that
Yeah, and-
right.
And thinking back when I was 19, I probably didn't have any business, being out there. And you're usually by yourself. You know how it is with these county sheriffs at nighttime. You don't have much backup, so you
No.
learn very quickly how to
Yep,
deal on traffic stops. I remember when I would stop a car, the middle of the night. You didn't know who was in there. And then what I would do is, as I walked up to the car, keep in mind I was by myself, I would pretend like I was talking to my partner as we walk, as I was walking up to the
Oh,
car.
there you go.
So people thought, okay,
Yeah,
there's two of them out there, you know? And
yeah.
so then when I got done with the contact, they're looking around for the other officer. Where we looking, where'd this guy go, And the other thing you would do is, we had cages on our cars. I would put my
Right.
hat against the cage and the headrest. And if somebody's looking back on a silhouette, it made it look like there was another body in there. You just did
Yeah.
little things like that to make
It's
sure.
it's a creativity thing, and I remembered when I was through the reserves before I went full sworn, and we were up on where was that, University and around Ellsworth Road, and they had one radar gun for the entire district, and at that time I was drinking these iced teas. So we peeled the label off the iced tea bottle, parked over there,
Oh, yeah.
was in the Circle K, and held the PA mic wire up to it, and we're just doing this.
Yeah.
And you know, you got to think on your feet. You got to be a little creative about stuff, and because if you're all by yourself, and I've been there, I don't know, Rich has been there. Graveyard shift is like in a remote area. You never know.
Yeah.
And
No.
Coconino, same way.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you'd go on a code 3 call for 50, 60 miles,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
hopefully, if you're heading towards a reservation, you call ahead to see if maybe there was a Navajo policeman out there or a DPS officer at the time. And I did the same
Yeah.
thing when I was working graveyard in Pima County. There might have been one or two of us. What happened is the swing shift officers would go home about 1 or 2 in the morning, and the day shift would check on about 6 in the morning. So that 4 hour period there, you were out there by yourself. And
Yeah.
all the bad stuff happens, from about 1 to 6 in the morning. The
It
drunk
does.
drivers, the crashes. I remember one time a tractor trailer carrying 130 head of cattle east of Tucson, over by Davidson Canyon. Are you familiar with that area?
Where was that?
It's called Davidson Canyon. It's between Benson and Tucson.
Oh,
The
yeah, yeah,
driver
yeah.
the driver went off the interstate into this canyon with 130 head of cattle. And
Oh, man.
I got obviously dispatched to it, and I'm by myself. And they're calling people out of bed to come help, but it's going to be an hour or so. So the tractor trailer with 130 head of cattle crashes down at the bottom of this canyon. I get down there. The co-driver that was in the back was dead. The driver was critically injured. Half the cows died in the accident. The other half got away. So I'm
Yeah.
doing first aid on the driver, praying like heck. And then I would hear skid marks and then these thuds and skid marks and thuds. What's happening is cars up on the freeway were hitting these cows that got loose.
Oh, wow.
And you're thinking, man, and then I had to be at class for a final at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know. So
It always works that way.
it does. Yeah.
Never fails. You got vacation, and you get a paper call at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you get off shift at 7, and it has to be in because it's an in custody. And
Right.
now what do you do?
Yeah, no, it's and I don't know if it's gotten any better now. I know my old agency DPS. I remember on Fridays and Saturday nights on the swing shift, there might be 12 officers out there, and you could do some programs, speed enforcement, drunk driving, aggressive driving, whatever you wanted to do. And most agencies, as you know, have lost so many officers. I was talking to a DPS officer the other day, and he said, if we're lucky to have 2 or 3 on a Friday or Saturday night in Pima County, we're lucky. Where back in my day, it was two full squads were out there, and it's like most departments. Our profession, since 2020, starting about 2020, we had a very difficult time, and I think we're climbing out of that now. and with all the issues that went on, and the rioting and the protests and things like that, and law enforcement got the brunt of it. And I've always felt though that law enforcement takes the brunt of all the issues involving crime, but people forget you also have judges and prosecutors and probation, and parole that are also
And we
part
can't
of
forget
this.
defense attorneys.
And the defense attorneys, yeah, and it makes it more difficult. But
It does.
and I remember being in Portland, Oregon, uh, during the George Floyd issues, and Antifa and other groups were trying to burn down the federal courthouse, and I'd gone up
I
there because I'd
remember.
sent and they were trying to burn it down. We're all inside, and we'd arrest these Antifa people on camera. We have film of them throwing fireballs and doing all this stuff, and we'd arrest them. They'd be out the next day protesting again,
Yeah.
rioting again. It's like, and they wouldn't, the prosecutors wouldn't charge them, and the judges wouldn't hold them. It was just a revolving door. It was very, very frustrating.
Yeah. And then
Peaceful.
one of the other things they were doing, besides bricks, frozen water bottles,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they had Molotov cocktails. Well, they brought in some high tech stuff.
Yeah.
They got those cheap Chinese lasers that are real powerful, and they were pointing them in cops' eyes.
And they had, we saw that also. They had these green laser lights
Right.
that they were shining in the officer's eyes to try to blind them. And
Yeah, and
terrible, absolutely
it
terrible.
is. It is, and then you throw that with people wanting to defund the cops.
Yes.
I mean, it's a tough enough profession, and then you're booking a guy and he's walking out before you even sit down to write the report. And
Exactly. And one of the things that really frustrated me at that time also was that a lot of our elected leaders, locally and nationally, would not speak up for law enforcement or tell these people to stand down it's okay to protest. We understand that, but protest peacefully. Not a word from our elected leaders in both city, state, and the federal systems. It was very, very troubling, and I think a lot of people just said, "I forget it." And that's just it. You know how cops are; they just want to be
Gotta
appreciated.
make
You know,
you want to be able to do your job without any problems, get paid, go home to your family.
exactly.
That's
Yep,
that's what you want to be able to do.
exactly.
And then they throw all these things in. And I know me and you were talking the other day on the phone, and I have a tendency to get on a roll. Rich knows it. And if there's ever such a thing as an expert witness in talking, if a court ever called an expert witness in about talking, it would be me, because I can do it.
Yeah.
But we were talking about just how everything is just really harping on the cops, and then
Yeah.
the DOJ being used politically against certain agencies, and
Yeah.
you end up with those consent decrees, and then you end up with court-ordered consent or court-ordered monitors and things
Right.
like that. And that really eats at every cop in every agency when you're under that kind of scrutiny for everything.
And, on these court-ordered monitors, I've been around a while, and you see them, and it's a cottage industry. They never leave. And you look at Maricopa County. They've paid over, I guess we have over $300 million now. It's been going on for 10 years. And
Yeah.
if there's an issue within an agency and a judge feels compelled to do that, take care of the issue and move on. But it just these monitors get in there and they never leave. You look at Oakland and some of these other places, they've been around for 10, 15, 20 years. And crime has gotten worse,
When I got promoted at the sheriff's office, we went through the same thing, and Rich can verify this a little bit. or when we had to do the 4th and 14th Amendment training and we went into a class, it was the very first one. They had some attorney there from ACLU. They had some of the monitor staff, and somebody had gotten up, and I can't remember who it is. They went through the whole room and they said, "Who's been in here less than 5 years?" A few people raised their hand. Who's been in here 5 years to 15 years? Some guys. And then who's been in here 15 to 30 or whatever it was? Guys would raise their hand. They go, "You guys up at the top end, you won't see us go away. You guys down here, you won't see us go away.
Yep.
And then you guys that just started with 2 to 5 years, no, you might see us go away." And that, to start off a conversation like that to a bunch of cops that are out there doing their job, you know, that just tells you something. It's a money train. And, you know, having worked through it, it's the most miserable experience in your life.
Yes.
Because as a sergeant, you have to look at everything. You never get to leave the office. You're looking at blue team stuff, body camera stuff, looking for violations. And if you don't find one, and they do, you get in trouble. And I mean, it's like, it just doesn't stop. And then they wonder why it takes so long to go to calls for service.
Yeah.
And something needs to change. And right now with Sheriff Sheridan, I think they're on the right course. I really do.
Yeah, I was speaking to Sheriff Sheridan the other day, and you know, I think he's doing the right steps, and he wants to move past this because it's just shackles, you know, on the leaders and the commanders, and it goes all the way throughout an organization, you know. And you guys remember when cops used to be proactive? You knew who was slinging dope. You knew who was carrying guns. You knew who the burglars were, you know, and you could do some creative stuff. I think police officers now, they just answer calls because they don't want to get in trouble.
Firefighters. They wait around for a call. They're like a firefighter. Might as well break out a video game and sit in your car. Oh, I got a call. I got to go.
Yeah, I remember I remember being a patrolman in Tucson, and it was a heyday of marijuana smuggling, and we used to drive about 20 miles north of Nogales, and sit in the northbound lanes, and you could tell by the way a car bounced.
Yeah,
we would go over by an overpass, and you could tell by the way the car bounced whether it was loaded, you know, and I'm sure now there'd be issues with that. And sure enough, there'd be 200-300 pounds of marijuana in the car, and you could do some proactive things at that time, and you know, on that topic, I speak to a lot of chiefs of police and head of DPS, and they're trying to hire people, but they all say they get people that apply, but they have problems people passing the backgrounds. And you know what the number one issue? You know what the number one issue is?
marijuana.
Drug use.
Yeah,
It's drug use.
it was one of the jokes that we were talking about at the sheriff's office. When you ask, they say, "So what about when I apply for a job? What do they do?" I go, "Well, they do a background check, a psychological, financial. They do all these different things, and then they go talk to your neighbors." And you know, I don't even know if they do that anymore. I think they just hire guys, but they go drug use. I told somebody once that was applying. I go, if they ask you when was the last time you used marijuana, and you have to look at your watch, that's probably not a good thing.
Probably, you know, when I came on DPS in '75, you couldn't have used any drugs whatsoever. Nothing. Zero. And and I understand. I mean, you know, things change in life, and I know that post. I think it might even go into effect this month. Is reducing the time limit on the use of marijuana. I think to the last 6 months. What's that?
For the office. No, that's wow.
Great. And and you talk about they have to look at their watch. They've had candidates will come in and they'll say, "When was the last time you used marijuana?" And they'll say, "Well, what day is it?" You know, and
Yeah.
uh, and I understand that mores change and things like that, and young people are going to try it here and there at a party, whatever. I get that, and I guess law enforcement needs to change with the times,
Well, they
also.
can
But
change
But
changing a
not,
little bit, but
not
I
so,
mean
yeah.
when it's commercial vehicles, after I'd been through that stint with ADOT enforcement,
hmm
even today on the federal side, a commercial vehicle license holder who's driving an 80,000 pound missile down the road can't have any alcohol in the truck, can't have any marijuana in the truck,
Sure,
or
yeah,
any other contraband at all. Can't
right,
have it in his system, nothing. And I think maybe they need to apply that same philosophy towards law enforcement. You cannot have these things in your system.
right,
I mean, how can you? Because still, even though marijuana is legal, there are points around where you can't use it in public, driving a car. So how can an officer accurately enforce something or objectively enforce something if he's using marijuana when he goes home and on the weekends and he catches somebody smoking weed driving down the road in a car,
yeah, yeah,
So,
it's
but I don't
yeah,
know.
it's yeah,
It's above my pay grade.
yeah, and we're talking about things that have changed, and I talked to my kids who are millennials, and when I was a marshal, I would say, "What do you think about uniformed cops that have beards or tattoos and ponytails and things like that?" Because I guess I'm old school when it comes to that. I don't have a problem having people having tattoos, but I just thought if you're out in the public, in court or whatever, they're covered up and you display a professional image.
Yeah.
And my kids will say, "Well, Dad, times have changed. A lot of young people might feel a little bit more comfortable if the officer has a beard or has tattoos." And
Or pink hair.
yeah, and it just I saw a uniform cop the other day. It was that had a man bun, you know,
Yeah,
and I thought, okay, if but I think I'm old school that way, and that I just think that you should look professional at all times and you
you
look
should.
good, you know,
Yeah,
but that cat's out of the bag now, and
yeah.
it won't go back. So it's just something that
Beards.
we all need to adapt to.
I think some of that's come about. I think some of it's come about because recruiting numbers are down
Yeah,
and they're trying to appease a lot of people. It's like, at the sheriff's office, Rich remembers too. I keep saying that, but he remembers. Um, we wore those polyester
yeah,
Wrangler brown cowboy pants and
right,
roper boots and
yeah,
flying cross shirts. And now everybody, you know, guys are whining and complaining about 511s and, all this stuff. And then they're saying that um, the badges are reflective. They need subdued badges so they don't get shot at night. I go,
yeah,
give me a break. You're sitting
yeah,
there with a beard and the man bun going and piercings and all kinds of crap. I mean, they've really loosened it up. They
yeah.
really have. And
Yeah, they have, and I guess it's a sign of the times, and it's going to be interesting to see what goes on 5, 10 years down with policing,
oh
because
yeah,
policing is changing very, very quickly, and a lot of the issues that police agencies had was our fault. We weren't reading the tea leaves, we weren't keeping an eye on the horizon, and we missed a lot of clues over the last 20, 30 years. Migration patterns. What kind of people are coming in? Can we adapt to the different language skills?
yeah.
Uh, the gay and lesbian community is very big in all our communities now. How do we deal with all types of different groups because they are part of the community, And I think one of the biggest one is mental health. When we were
That
young
is-
cops, most of the calls, or a lot of calls the cops get are people that have, dealing with mental issues. And we weren't trained to deal with people with mental issues. We were trained to deal with crime issues. But you could do,
Right.
you could put somebody in jail for their protection, back in the day, or get them to a mental hospital. Now
Right.
you just leave them alone until then it's really really sad.
You
And
know,
yeah, and so much training now on mental health issues, which is going to continue to be a huge problem for the criminal justice community.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, you grew up in Flagstaff, right?
Right.
You grew up there. I grew up in Mesa, and when we'd come into Phoenix, Van Buren was the main drag, and you were
Yeah.
driving right by 24th Street and Van Buren, the state
Yeah.
hospital.
I used to take
And-
prisoners down there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've taken a couple people there, and I had to
Yeah.
go there once to do an interview.
Yeah.
That was challenging, but they
Yeah.
wanted to keep me.
Yeah. And do you remember
Yeah.
there used to be an old law about being drunk in public?
Yep.
And it was, and we used that. What it did, it protected these individuals. They can go to jail for the night, but they're not getting in trouble. They're not freezing to death. They're not getting killed. I know in Flagstaff, you'd get several, a year, get run over by the trains. And back then, there was some options. Then they made it illegal because they said, well, alcoholism isn't a crime anymore. So you just leave them alone. And the other thing is homeless. I remember in Phoenix, when my wife and I moved up here in '85, very few homeless people on the streets. There are some, but very few. And you look now, there's thousands in our streets, and law enforcement has to deal with these people. And what do you, I know I've talked to police officers with Phoenix Police, and they'll see a homeless person pushing this cart, grocery cart with all his stuff that he or she owns, and they'll do everything not to arrest that person because you have to inventory,
Yeah.
everything in that cart, and that'll take hours and hours and hours. And the supervisors don't want them off the street for hours, for something
No.
might be a minor, a minor charge. But this individual probably did something that would require some kind of getting arrested or something. So they deal with all these social issues that are just very, very difficult, and people want the police to take care of all these social ills that we have that we're not equipped to do.
Yeah. And Rich, you were starting to
And we were
go ahead, Rich.
talking about to bring it back to your 20 plus years. What changed? How did you deal with it? What was the big accomplishment? Say completed. What was the greatest thing?
Rich, you were skipping out on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's got some internet.
Yeah,
issues
Curly.
going on.
Yeah, Curly. I couldn't understand. He was cutting in and out.
No, can you hear me now, David?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah.
Just asking your 20 plus years with what changed out, where are they at, accomplishments that you were happy about when you left?
When I was with the Marshals.
Yes.
I think that's what he's trying to say. Like in your 20 something years or 20 plus years. Yeah,
With the U.S. Marshals.
yeah.
I think the biggest changes are like we were discussing, and in law enforcement, and like any other business, your policy is your people, and you need to hire top-notch people. That's the key for everything. And I know when I was going to hire a deputy U.S. Marshal, um, uh, education was important, but I wanted somebody that was a good team player,
Yep.
somebody that was a hard worker and had a great attitude. Attitude meant a lot because you can get a very smart person, has some good skills, but if they can't work well with people or have a terrible attitude, they're like a cancer, you know, in a squad room or working in law enforcement. So uh, I think one of the things that I was proud of is hiring the best quality people that you could find,
Right.
and because it sets the tone for all law enforcement. You know, uh, I remember watching TV with my wife one night, and there was a little story about some cop that did something really stupid that was on video, and she says, "Man, why do cops do that? You know, it looks terrible." And I said, "Well, here's the key here. You're a lawyer. There's a lot of bad lawyers in the country, and they
Oh
get
yeah.
arrested and they do silly things, but you don't say all lawyers are bad because of one. Law enforcement is a career where one bad apple it paints all of us. It's not
Yeah.
fair, but that's just the
Yeah.
way it is, you know. And you don't see with any other profession, doctors, lawyers, whatever, bankers. If you have a bad seed, you don't paint all of them bad. But in law enforcement, someone sees somebody in uniform do something they shouldn't do, something stupid. We're all painted with that brush.
Yep.
It's not fair, but you know that's just the way it is.
One of the things too on it, who's harder on a bad cop or a stupid cop than another cop?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
you the system's there.
Yeah.
Let it play out. Let it go out. I mean, look at AZ Post. You see guys losing their stuff all the time for stupid stuff, and
Right.
I just don't get it. And we've had a few at the sheriff's office that had done some goofy things,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
every agency does.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right. When it's a cop, it makes the news. When it's sometimes a firefighter, but um, when it's a lawyer or a doctor, there's actually an article I did some research on that's on my website. It talks about this same topic, cops, and how the percentage of cops. I think it was out of 800,000 cops, and it was a study the USA Today did on bad cops. Out of 800,000 cops in the country, 3% were bad or did something bad to get fired. 3.6%.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
looking at the teaching profession, the number
Yeah.
rose anywhere from 26% to 35%. And the
Right.
majority of what they were doing wrong was sexual offenses with the kids.
Right.
And nobody seems to care about that. But when a
Right.
cop does something stupid, it makes national news
Right.
and they go after it. And then they say defund cops and then they do all this stuff. And I don't know. I just don't get it.
Yeah. No, you're right, and I think it'll probably always be that way, and it just it makes it difficult for I think a young man or woman wanting to go into law enforcement. I think they'll look for agencies where they're going to get support within the agency and with their elected leaders, whether it's a city
Right.
council, board of supervisors, Congress, or whatever. They just
Right.
want that. They know that someone's going to support them. But you're
Right.
right. All day long, hundreds of thousands of cops do the right thing every single day, and
Yeah.
and and everything you do is scrutinized. You know, especially with body worn cameras now, which I have no problem with body worn cameras. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
I didn't have a problem with them either. And I'm rich. I mean, um, in fact, I had read an article somewhere about body worn cameras at the ACLU, and some defense attorneys are getting upset that it's showing their clients in a bad light. And
Yes.
I thought, that's what we see. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we see.
Yeah, and it's lowered. Yeah, it's reduced dramatically the number of complaints against police officers because they know it's on video. And also, on the other hand, I think cops are more likely to, uh, knowing that everything's being filmed, probably act more appropriately and watch salty language. And you know how it is back in the day where
Oh, yeah.
you had to use some salty language sometime to get your point across.
Yeah. And that's kind of like in that we were talking about that too. Use of force continuum,
Yeah.
verbal commands.
Right.
Well, I had it, and when I learned from my FTOs that have been around a long time, it was within that verbal command system, you had different levels.
Yeah.
Calmly talk, firmly talk, and then tell them to get in the effing car.
Yeah.
You know, so you went from nice to there. And then after that, you had the other things that you did. But it was kind of funny how that worked. And it's different now, way different.
It is different. And I was going to tell you a story when talk about community where when I was a young kid in Flagstaff, I was an altar boy. I went to this parochial school, Catholic school, and one of the jobs as an altar boy is to clean the basement of the church. Okay, and there were 3 or 4 of us altar boys cleaning the church, and you know what's in the basement of a church, right?
I went to Queen of Peace and Catholic, and I don't think they had a basement.
Oh well, in this one they had they stacked the wine for the masses.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then, so we grabbed a bottle of altar wine, opened it up, and we were 11, 12 years old. We didn't know what we were doing. And they also had boxes of the wafers they give during communion, and they weren't blessed. So we opened up, and we're eating those like M&Ms, and we get caught. Okay, so we were kicked out of school for the day. All right, so I'm walking home, and Mrs. Gomez is out sweeping her sidewalk, and she says, David, 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 I heard what happened in school today. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this just happened like 2 hours ago, I get home, and my grandmother says, hey, I got a call that you got kicked out for doing something, drinking wine, boom, boom, boom. What were you thinking? And, it had an impact on me. Is like, I let my community down. I let my school down, my family name, my grandparents, my brothers and sisters, and it always stuck with me,
Yeah.
And the point being also is the community was behind you, They were taking care of me, They were letting me know, hey, you stepped out of line. How could you do that?
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
we were talking about that at the start of the show before you came on.
yeah,
We were talking about that. The differences from the 1940s to today. When I was a kid in the 60s, you go do something stupid down the street, that neighbor would grab you, give you a swift kick in the butt, drag you home. Your mom would take something to you. You wait till your dad gets home. And then now it's really on.
yeah.
So it was a little different time.
It was, and you don't see the neighbors and communities taking care of the little kids that are stepping out of line. They just don't want to get engaged or involved anymore. And
They don't want to be sick.
yeah, exactly. And on a real similar note, I remember my wife, very bright woman. We were outside in our front patio, just having a glass of wine, and a car comes by, and she goes, "Who's that?" Well, it was a neighbor down about 2 houses down, and she didn't recognize the car, and didn't know who they were. She just wasn't focused in on that, and that also let me know that a lot of people don't know their neighbors in their community. You know,
Yeah.
what belongs, what doesn't. You know, I recognize the car immediately. Oh, that's the, that's the Crozier's, going home or whatever. And
Yeah.
and what do we do now when we come home? We hit a button, your garage door
Shut the
goes
garage
up, you drive in,
door,
close the door, and that's it.
Sad.
Turn on the TV, pour yourself a drink, maybe light up a cigar, and go, man, what a day.
Yeah, and just not aware of what's going on in our communities, and I
Yeah,
think we need to get back to that also, because
Yeah, and-
it takes everybody, not just the police, but our neighbors, knowing what's going on and what belongs, what doesn't,
Yeah.
and people just don't want to get engaged anymore. You
Well-
look at you look at these instances that happen all over the country where somebody's getting assaulted or something, and nobody gets involved. They
well,
take
yeah,
out their
they
phone.
do.
They take out their
Yeah,
phone.
they
you know?
have their phone out and they're videotaping it for a TikTok
go.
video. Whoa, check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's their way of getting involved. I think it's kind of a self-defense mechanism because they don't know what to do. So pulling out their
Well-
phone to them is like, oh, I'm doing something here, instead of helping
You know,
people.
Well, a lot
They
of
did
the
that.
youth
Remember
today
that?
are nowhere near rate as the men and women of the yesterdays. Anything
Yeah,
within their can get involved, other than make fun of it on
Is he there?
something.
he's coming in and out. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah, you're cutting it. You must be on a Wi-Fi thing there. It must be like I don't know. I'm on Starlink here, but now I'm actually on a hotspot. But
yeah, but you're right. I mean, and I would see young people, men and women, want to be law enforcement, and you could tell their social skills were really weak. They didn't really know how to talk to people, look them in the eyes, And I wonder
engage.
engaged,
Get right
yeah,
up.
I wonder if they're out in the street having to deal with somebody that might be difficult. Would they know how to deal with that problem?
Well,
And
there's probably a body cam video out there. When I got promoted,
yeah,
I had to go. I had to go out east. It was just the start of the shift, and the early squads. One guy was a late car, and he made an arrest of a DV drunk guy, and he was going to transfer him over to another car over near Chrisman and Broadway. Was going to transfer him over to this other car, and I was going 10-8, so I go, oh, I'll just drive over and make sure everything's okay. Drove over there, got there, and I see this newer deputy.
yeah,
Just like this. Please, sir, get in the car.
yeah,
And the guy's mouthy in front of
Yeah.
everybody in the parking lot. Please, sir. And I pulled up, turned on my body camera. You know how that
yeah,
Rich. Pop. Got out of the car and I looked at the deputy going, please, sir. And I dropped an F-bomb that you could hear all the way up to Broadway.
Yeah.
And I told him, get in the effing car. The guy turned and looked at me and goes, okay.
yeah. Hey, could you
I grabbed up? Yeah,
Could you give me 30 seconds? It's telling me my battery's about to go down. I got to plug it in. Give me about 30 seconds. Let me get
Yes, sir.
let me get my cord.
Yeah.
Wow, this is fun.
Yeah. Great man there. I'm glad we
Hey, Rick,
hooked in on.
I think at your end, you're having some Wi-Fi issues or something because you're
Wi-Fi's
coming in and out.
full strength.
Well, you got a mic issue or something because you're breaking in and out. You
I'll
ask
try-
a question and we hear
Mic
you ask a question and we hear you go. We hear it go. How's it go?
Am I breaking in and out right?
Yeah, you're still breaking in and out.
I'm not sure what.
That's fun. It's like going to Jack in the Box, and you make your order, and it's. Yeah, that was another cop thing that they did in Super Troopers. Never go through the drive-through, or even in Lethal Weapon, never go through the drive-through, ever. So
Never. How's that? I
never.
did thing. Can you hear
Oops.
me?
You wiggle the wire. Is that
There
what
we
you
go.
did?
There we go. I had to find my charger. I'm good.
Oh, good
There you
deal. Anyway, yeah, there's so much has changed, and it's funny. All of us have worked graveyard. We've all done it, and there are times at night where you're driving around, and there is absolutely nobody.
Right.
Down in Queen Creek area before it was Queen Creek, and I drive all there. I wouldn't see anybody.
Yeah.
Nothing. And the only guy you would see is the other deputy coming the other way because you're both kind of like driving around. So you play those little games and little things like that. And there was a guy that I worked with. He worked in the Queen Creek area, and I worked over in Sun Lakes. And nothing was really built up then. And so I was driving, and where the res is at Hunt Highway.
Right.
So I'd go down like Lindsay or Greenfield, or not Greenfield. Lindsay, I think, or Val Vista. And I'd get down to Hunt Highway, and it's a dirt road, Hunt Highway, and there's a fence, Gila River Reservation, no trespassing. But they had piles of dirt at so many sections, so you could drive in there and back up and stuff. And you could see Riggs Road. And I'm driving, and that's when we had Simplex car to car. And I see Jack coming the other way. He stops in the mid, or what I did was I turned my headlights out and started scooting down that dirt road. He stopped in the middle of Riggs, nobody else around. It's like 3 a.m. And he goes, gets me on Simplex, Bob, where you at? Well, I kind of fibbed a little bit. I told him, I'm sitting in the Sun Lakes Posse office writing reports as I'm driving down Hunt Highway, because I knew he was looking at me.
Yeah.
So he comes up Val Vista. I pulled in and backed up, hid the car, turned all the lights out, sat on the push guard, and here he comes with the takedown lights on, spotlights going, look at high beams on, looking, spotlight going around, gets up to where I'm at, and I'm laughing. He gets out of the car. What a hoot. He's a Mormon guy. What a hoot. You do little things like that to keep awake and to make it a little more fun at night because you're just driving around. But every once in a while, if you worked in law enforcement on day shift, your majority of your life, you're not a cop until you work graveyard.
Yeah.
Ever.
And graveyard was also we were. Yeah, and it was like it could be complete boredom and then followed by sheer terror. It was one or the other,
Oh yeah.
And
A pursuit. Oh, we got a stolen Ford F-250 coming down Gilbert Road. Poof. Now a 20-mile chase through sod farms down on Gila River. Crazy stuff.
When I was a young patrolman in Tucson, down at milepost 30 miles from the border, I remember there was seeing all these religious statues up along the highway. This was before it was Interstate 19. It was 89. A lot of people were killed on that highway. If you recall, it was like one of the highest fatality highways in the country back then. And people would build these monuments, religious monuments. And we would get calls in the middle of the night from citizens who lived right along the highway saying, hey, I just heard a terrible crash on the highway. I hear people screaming and yelling. People are really hurt. And you go down there and there was nothing there, and you'd go talk to the reporting party and they said, you'd say, officer, I heard 2 cars crash and people screaming and yelling. And, I'm not dreaming this up. And boy, you start about getting the willies. You wonder what,
Yeah, a
what's
little.
what's going on
Now
out there.
we switch gears to paranormal. Paranormal.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
got
And
some
like,
ghost hunters here.
yeah, and these people, I mean, they were convinced that they heard a terrible accident right outside their, on the highway there. So it made sense that they would build these religious monuments, because they would hear these things all the time, and it makes you wonder, there's something going on,
Yeah,
and
and then with all the little spiritual statues and different things around that same area, you
yeah,
never know.
yeah, and I remember going down the interstate between Nogales and Tucson, and I would think I saw a person alongside walking, in the emergency lane or in the emergency lane. I turn
Right.
around, come back, and you think, am I hallucinating? Am I tired, or was there somebody out here? And
Yeah.
and it starts to sometimes play with your mind because is there something else going on out here that we don't aware of,
Yeah.
that we're not aware of? So you just
Yeah,
see
and,
these
and
weird
you're the
things.
only guy out there,
Yeah, you're the
and
only
you're
guy
the
out.
only one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you don't tell anybody. You think you're crazy,
No, 'cause you go to the rubber gun squad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're talking about now what's in store for law enforcement in the future in the next 10, 15, 20 years?
All right.
And
Robot.
what are the new leaders? What are they looking for? I know when I was hiring deputy marshals, I was looking for people that who were going to serve 20, 30 years, and that they had, you have to look at what skills do they need in the future, and obviously it's men and women who had good computer skills, because that's where we're going. It's staying people that would stay current to the trends, and computers and all the stuff that's moving so quickly. IA now, AI, artificial intelligence is going to be
Yeah,
huge in
AI,
law
not
enforcement.
IA, because even some of us
Yeah,
are familiar
yeah,
with
not
IA.
IA, but AI. But artificial intelligence in law enforcement is huge, huge, huge. And our
Yeah,
leaders, our current leaders, and people coming up are going to have to be aware of that, and use that for solving crimes,
yeah,
predicting trends
yeah.
that are going to go on.
There's I don't
Enforcement
know if you saw the movie. I know. Go ahead,
again
Rich. I know
was
you're
saying
still
that,
breaking in and out.
as I said, the thing. Unfortunately, we don't have. There's managers and supervisors with the generational minimal leadership. Tomorrow, if we don't start educating these folks that are in the ranks.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's like that's going to be huge, but also you have to realize that it's a dangerous world out there. Also,
It
and
is.
you're going to have to still deal with these really bad guys that want to kill and hurt other people and you. So it's a fine balance there,
Yeah.
and
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 what I started to go into was the movie Demolition Man. They unfroze Sylvester Stallone to come after Wesley Snipes, who was an ultimate bad guy back in the day. And he goes into the police station, and it's all really sweet and nice. And he cusses, and he gets a little ticket, comes out of a machine. Here you go. For use of profanity, here's your fine. Here's your fine. And but I think that with the AI stuff, which is good, but
To a
you
degree.
also have to have that other stuff.
yes,
You also have to have the knuckle dragging guy that's going to go out and grab somebody and say enough, pull them in, throw them in the back of the car, and take them to jail. You're going to need both of those things to make law enforcement safer for the other cops and for the community. So
Yeah,
Yep.
it is. It's a very strong balance, and the skills that are going to be needed, 10, 15, 20 years from now are those individuals that can deal with uh, just awful violence. And we've all seen terrible things, shootings, you name it. And but also on the other hand, can get on a computer,
yeah,
uh, be familiar with artificial intelligence, and be aware of the different communities. You look at just look at Maricopa County. What's it going to look like in 20 years? That the sheriff's department, the feds, the local police departments, who are they going to deal with? What language skills would their people need? Uh, what did I? Oops, sorry. Oh, there we go. Which language skills? Which technology, and stay on top of the technology because that's what's going to make policing in the future, successful.
oh yeah. I mean, hey, there were a couple things I wanted to ask you about your time at the U.S. Marshals.
Yeah,
We've all seen movies,
yeah,
and I like to bring that up as an analogy. Wyatt Earp, of course,
yeah.
and then the TV series that I just fell in love with called Justified.
Oh, I love Justified. Yeah,
Yeah, wasn't that awesome?
he did. He
Timothy
did.
Oliphant. That
Yeah,
was just an awesome show.
that was a great show. Like any other show, I mean, it gets little different, and things that a real deputy marshal couldn't do, but those shows have done a lot. I remember The Fugitive did a lot. I mean, that was a
Oh
good
yeah,
movie.
Tommy
Also,
Lee
the
Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, and I met him once, and I brought that up. He goes, "Oh, I still have a badge they gave me as an honorary, marshal," and I really enjoyed doing that show. And because everything's the bureau or somebody like that, but the marshals
Yeah,
has always been in the background. And although we're the oldest federal law enforcement agency in the country, it was created by
yeah,
George Washington in 1789 when this country was just forming and had no law enforcement, and that's when the U.S. Marshals were created, and George Washington appointed the first 13 U.S. Marshals, and
wow.
that tradition has carried on to now. The only law
Yeah, but
enforcement
you
agency.
weren't one of those guys,
I
were you?
wasn't one of those. No, close, but wasn't one of those. Uh, but it's a very historic and interesting organization. We hunt down fugitives worldwide. We protect the judges in federal courthouses.
Right,
We manage the witness protection program. That's the
right.
marshals that do that, and that's a fascinating program when these individuals come into the witness protection program.
Can you talk about anything that happened with that famous gangster that was in Gilbert who got
Oh,
arrested?
Sammy the Bull,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, no, Sammy
Yes.
the Bull was in the program, but he couldn't abide by our policies. And if
Ah,
if people come in the program and they follow our policies, it's been 100% successful. When they don't follow our policies, that's when issues happen. They get killed or something. But Sammy just didn't want to participate, and he voluntarily left the program, and then got into drug dealing with his son, while he was here in
yeah.
Arizona.
something
Yeah,
Well,
to do.
part of that story, I was in auto theft at the time, and we had a high number of ATVs being stolen. Fancy Raptors and all kinds of stuff. And then I ended up getting some information what this crew was working, and they all seemed to live in Gilbert and Chandler area.
yeah,
And they'd go out on the I-10 freeway or on the I-17 or wherever that somebody's coming back with a toy hauler. They'd come back late at night, park the toy hauler, go into bed. These guys would go hook up to the toy hauler, take it, and just
yeah.
leave. And they were just getting boatloads of them. In fact, some of the main players, I'm not going to name them or anything, were associated with Sammy the Bull's son.
Yeah.
They all went to high school together, and I got wind of some of that, but was focused on the ATV aspect and the quads and stuff. a lot of the quads that were stolen in Arizona during that period of time, if you ever go down to Rocky Point
Yeah.
and you want to rent a quad,
Probably find them.
I'll bet you it's stolen from Arizona.
Oh yeah. No.
Waste money.
When I was a marshal, I would meet with the comandantes from the different states because
Yeah.
because there's thousands of fugitives,
Oh,
American fugitives that are hiding in Mexico, and we had to work with the Mexican officials there, and it's very delicate. 'Cause
It is.
and you know why? Uh, because you don't know which side they're on. I'm not telling you anything nobody don't know. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
corruption, and
right.
but we would take we'd look at the cars, try to take pictures of the VIN numbers, and a lot of the cars that the government officials were driving down there were American stolen cars, you know, and
Oh yeah.
and that what do you do? I mean,
Yeah, and then there's a long drawn out process for
Yeah.
repatriating them back in the U.S.
oh, absolutely.
One of the guys, a brother of one of the guys
uh,
involved in that little ATV ring, he actually runs a quad rental place down at Rocky Point.
Yeah.
And I know they're there. I know that's going on. It's been that way for a long time. And not a lot people can do about it, So,
Yeah.
but you guys as U.S. Marshals, fugitives. So when
Mhm.
we have an escapee from state prison, will you even
Yeah.
get involved in that?
Oh, absolutely. And we've done some really big ones where especially if they know they've left the state, they'll call us and we would adopt that case as a federal case. We have to adopt
Right.
it, and then we could put all the resources in. But we've done some really big manhunts from prison escapees, and followed them all over the country and all over the world. Uh, we did one case where Hell's Angels guy. He was a stockbroker daytime. He was a Hell's Angel at night, and he killed
Right.
he and another Hell's Angel killed a gal at their clubhouse in Mesa. Took her out in
Oh,
the
I
desert.
know. I remember that because
Paul
the
Eishide's his name.
sheriff's office was involved in that.
Right, they were, and
Yeah.
ATF was doing a wiretap case a couple years later, and Eishide, the main guy, they were talking about this gal they killed. And this poor woman, she had 4 kids. She was at some convenience market out in Mesa, standing out there. And Eishide and another Hell's Angels comes up to her and says, "Hey, do you want to come party with us?" And she accepted. And she said something inside the clubhouse that they didn't like. So they beat her, stabbed her, killed her, left her out in the desert, in the East Desert, East Maricopa. And Eishide was indicted and arrested. A couple months later, a federal judge released him with an ankle monitor. Well, you know what happens next.
Yeah.
What Paul did is he got another Hell's Angels that looked like him, except the eyes were different color. And this person got a passport. And if you looked at Paul Eishide and the passport he got from his friend, you'd pass it. You'd say, okay. So he took off, and we tracked him all over the U.S., Europe, and then when you're hunting down fugitives, there's two main things that everybody needs to do in life to live. They need to communicate with somebody, and they need money.
Yep.
Right. So we would do,
Mhm.
Wiretap.
especially a case like this. We do wiretaps. We would do financial surveillance on family members and things like that, and get up on phones, all their phones. But we started noticing a wire transfers to this Casa de Cambio, change house, like money to go place,
Yeah, check cash.
Western Union. What's that?
Right.
Yeah. And we noticed every month about the same time, he was getting money sent to him by this individual to this this Western Union type place, and so we figured that's where he was getting money to survive. So went down to, and this was in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Went down
Oh,
there.
right on.
Yeah, and so set up
You guys get
surveillance.
to travel.
Yeah, they travel travel all over the world. So did a surveillance on this on this business. First day, nothing. Second day, here he comes walking down the street to pick up his money. You know, with his wife, and then he was arrested. But that was just the beginning of it. It took 7 years to get him to the U.S. You know,
Oh,
because of the extradition treaties and all the issues and
Right.
you know, and they have he didn't want to come back to the U.S. You know, and then the U.S. government, we have to assure them that he's not going to be put to death, and then there's all these other things, and finally his appeals all ran out in Argentina, and we got him back 7 years later. Where I think
Wow.
he got sentenced to 45 years in prison. The guy that gave him the passport, made a passport for him, got 9 months in prison. So at least
Wow.
uh, he'll think about that again, I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all federal prison, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was.
Yeah, we
'cause he-
see.
uh-huh.
Yeah, we
Go
see
ahead.
some of the shows. Almost Got Away with It,
Yeah.
a TV show, and these
Yeah.
guys are cocky as hell.
Oh yeah.
And they escape from jail. They do all these things. They go all over. So,
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
No, I'm
there
good.
you are.
He's-
Yeah, well,
telling
yeah,
us a
it's
story.
crazy, isn't it?
Right.
You know, you hear about it, then you find them. You know, I've had some contact with HA out in East Mesa
Sure.
Yeah.
on some things, and when I was auto theft, had a stolen U-Haul truck that a girlfriend of an HA guy had and was doing a lot of burglaries. And I ended up meeting one of the guys in charge at a Ford dealership over in Chandler. And he didn't believe I was a cop when I called him. He thought that one of his other HA buddies was putting him up as a joke. Hey, the cops, I'm a cop. I'm going to come talk to you. And he thought the whole thing was a fake until I said, look, do you want me to come to your work? And then we ended up having a good communication level. So anyway,
Okay.
we've been on a long time now.
Yeah. I probably should get going here, and I enjoyed this.
Thank
Invite
you
me
so
back
very much.
anytime.
Yeah, we got to do this again.
Absolutely.
And
Just let me know what. Yeah, I've got an hour and 40 minutes, and like again, I apologize. For some reason, I had tomorrow night, and
Well, it's a holiday weekend, and
Yeah, and I
tomorrow
know what I was
night would have been,
Yeah.
So
anyways,
anyway, it's been fun, and
yeah, Rich.
we'll do this again.
Anytime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This
All
is
right.
fun. It's fun being retired and being able to talk about it. So
Yeah, since I retired, I was hired by Core Civic as a consultant. It's a private prison company.
right,
It's a it's $1 billion company, and a lot of people do not like private prisons. And my job is to make sure that people understand what it does and the need for it. Because you take Arizona, for example, there's no place to put. I think there's about 4,000 people waiting trial in Arizona on the federal side. I would
Right.
need 4,000 beds. The sheriffs don't have it,
nope,
and they would pay, and we would have to pay taxpayers like $300 a day for each one. There's a big facility in Florence. That's Core Civic. The government pays about $85 a day, and the accommodations are good for what it is. The food's good, the medical's good, and I don't think a lot of people that don't like or the idea of private prisons understand the need for them.
yeah, I think that's a union thing, but I'm not sure.
Well, and there's a lot of groups like the ACLU. They want to stop, like in Arizona and a lot of other places, because they think they have no place to put them. We won't arrest them, or the government won't arrest them, since there's no place to put them. So they have their agendas, and private prisons don't get involved in politics. They're just doing a service for the government, you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting going from a police officer, you know, kind of working on the corrections side. I did that as a marshal because I was responsible for all federal prisoners in custody. Most
Yeah.
cops don't think about when they book somebody what happens. Sheriffs do. People, you're in the sheriff's department. You understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that goes, and that's a tough business. Those people that work in the jails, my God,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to
Couldn't do
do
it.
it.
those people should maybe be making $200,000 a year. Tough job, and it's a very difficult job, and God bless those people to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right,
All
gentlemen,
righty.
you take care.
Well,
and,
it's been fun,
and we'll
Rich.
talk to you soon.
Thank you guys very much. We'll see you.
Take care. See you later. Take care. Bye.
Thank
Okay, on my way. Adam 810, 1035 Mary.
That was pretty cool.